What's the craziest anime of the season? What's the best and the worst? I watched every single anime from spring 2026, and these questions are hard to answer when we've got big sequels, hidden gems, and some train wrecks. So I'm gonna try to show you in the funniest way possible what you should watch, what's worth giving a shot, and what you should run away from. Also, by the end of the video, I'll list the best one for you to check out. That is, if you make it there without being consumed by the Dr. Stone Science Future marks the end of an era, the conclusion of this saga about a guy who's 10 billion% confident in his inventions to save humanity. Too bad he didn't invent something to save you from Fist of the North Star, a nostalgic remake that brings back an 80s classic with a lot of testosterone. Just take a look. Whoops, wrong clip. These guys were going for Guts from Berserk but ended up with Liu Kang instead. So let's play a real classic moment. Now you've seen everything worth seeing in this series. Now let's move on to another manly anime. The angel next door spoils me rotten, because there's nothing more manly than letting your girl take care of the chores, right? I mean, the protagonist is teaching his girlfriend how to swim, or at least trying, so I guess you could call it an equal relationship. This time, the series came back to show the couple's relationship evolving. Instead of just staying home, rubbing their happiness in your face, now they go outside and make every NPC jealous too. That's something hard to imagine happening in You and I Are Polar Opposites, a romance that won people over last season, and it's now passing the baton to its less colorful sibling, the Ramparts of Ice. Here, the protagonist is kind of a loner. People used to pick on her, so now she has a very effective defensive mechanism, a cold look that clearly says,
Que la lluvia de diamantes caiga sobre ti y te congele para siempre. ¡Polvo de diamante!
This happens because she builds ramparts of ice that push people away, and her only friend is a rough girl who acts all proper in public. But things start to change when the girls team up with two guys. One, as big and intimidated as a giraffe, and the other is a nosy guy who quickly takes an interest in the protagonist. Because of that, those walls might start melting soon, but she's still confused about this group of friends. One moment she's vibing like Joker 2019, the next she feels more like the other Joker, the 2024 one. And speaking of trashy movies, I Made Friends with the Second Prettiest Girl in My Class follows a guy who loves that kind of content. While everyone else is worrying about the Oscars, he's all about the Razzies. Sharknado, Transmorphers, Snow White 2026, only top tier trash like that. Unfortunately, no one else understands these masterpieces, so the guy is basically a lone wolf, until the day he befriends the second prettiest girl in his class. And then the two start enjoying their hobbies together, trying new experiences and doing whatever the hell this is. Interestingly, a similar premise shows up in Otaku, a series about an otaku who loves a very special show. It's like a child of Pokemon and Madoka Magica, cute monsters, magical girls, and the ability to make you cry. The girl who sits near the protagonist totally gets it, even though she pretends not to know the anime. But once she starts being honest, we find out she's actually its #1 fan, becoming friends with the otaku and an even more unrealistic girl. Just like the blonde who only tags along to make the guy blush, so I don't even know how this isn't classified as a fantasy. Anyway, when it comes to anime addiction or unrealistic girls, this season gives you two more options. The first, Pardon the Intrusion, I'm Home, shows a female otaku who just wants to watch her anime in peace, but has to deal with a hot neighbor who now pretends to be her boyfriend, and another handsome guy who just so happens to be the creator of her favorite series. Through everyday circumstances, her door, or rather, her walls, are always open to both of them, so now it's just a matter of her heart opening up too. Now, the second is the Klutzy class monitor and the girl with the short skirt, where Gyaru feels unreal for being kind of an exhibitionist. That drives the strict class monitor even crazier than he already is, leading the two into an endless war. That is, until she realizes something important. And a baka with a certain charm in her eyes, so they carry on living a chaotic school life, because honestly, it may be hard to believe, but the guy might not even be the craziest person around. Whoa, I know that jump scare can be scary. It's almost like Subaru showing up with this random dude in the newest season of ReZero, which you'll get to know soon enough. But this isn't harassment, it's the love game from I Want to End This Love Game, a show about two friends who confess to each other trying to make the other confess for you first. If that sounds confusing, don't worry, that's normal. So it's easier if I just say this is basically Love is War if the protagonists weren't very smart, nor good at rap, and occasionally made of CGI. On the other hand, lack of intelligence and games reminds me of Liar Game. While some shows have people slapping each other around before starting a death game, here things are simpler. A girl has her father hospitalized, but she doesn't want money, she just wants to keep living honestly. Too bad, because she ends up forced into a game where she has to steal money from an opponent. And look, the guy is someone she knows, so maybe everything will be alright, or maybe he screws her over, and she turns to a professional con artist to help her get the money back. Let's hear what the expert has to say about this case.
You're so dumb. Go to hell.
Against all odds, Classroom of the Elite is back for its 4th season. We've been following the growth of these characters for years, and I have to say, it's especially satisfying to see Aonokoji's development. In case you don't remember, let me refresh your memory.
Season 1.
I pretend not to notice, but everything is being observed.
Season 2.
The smart one plays dumb to see how far the fool will go pretending to be intelligent.
Season 3.
That it is not always prudent to reveal all the cards.
And now?
After all, the best defense is a sharp perception, capable of
Oh
unraveling.
my god, they grow up so fast! But seriously, this second year of high school is starting with some great additions. A system that shows the most important information about the students, new characters playing Among Us with the protagonist, and of course, more special exams for Aonokoji to our farm and show up in TikTok edits. And speaking of farming life in another world is back with someone who's an expert at it. A man who expands his village not just by growing crops, but by building a farm even Mumbo Jumbo couldn't pull off. The Child Farm. If you want a more chill isekai, the vending machine one is as refreshing as ever, and Ascendance of a Bookworm continues the journey of the book maniac without major issues, unless you count the controversies around its opening. Talking about new anime, an observation log of my fiancée is a funny case. Here we've got yet another woman reincarnated as a villainess in a game, but the real protagonist is her fiancé, the genius prince who deals with their premonitions and points out how she looks more like Miss Piggy than a proper rival to the heroine. That's quite different from the most heretical last boss queen, which continues its more serious take on the villainous genre, even if the girl still collects love interests like their action figures. And of course, we can't forget the traditional isekai that changes its colors but is always around. A title so long I'd rather say this than read it? Check. Overpowered and miraculous abilities? Check. Floating UI screens? Check. A pair of boobs to accompany the hero? Check and check. If we step away from isekai, we can relax with the full diary of Miss Maid, where a young woman spends her vacation in Japan devouring local delicacies. The only problem is the annoying call she keeps getting.
Hello, who is this?
Listen carefully and try not to be scared. The bait is back for season 2.
The bait?
Yeah, this time they decided to animate it using Google Slides. It's like they say, potato, potato. But trust me, it will be great. Hey, are
No
you
one
listening?
deserves this shit.
She's totally right. This adaptation continues with a quality that might mess with their mental health, and maybe Needy Girl Overdose can do the same. It shows a world where streamers are worshipped like gods, focusing on a girl who reached the top of the digital world but still drifts between colorful fame and grey reality. There's always this uneasy feeling beneath the story. Maybe it's because it tackles themes that hit a little too close to home. Or maybe it's because the adaptation of this psychological horror game is kinda messy. I don't know. Either way, some people think alcohol helps with life's problems, which brings us to Botan Kamiina Fully Blossoms When Drunk, a series about college girls who don't even look old enough to drink, but still spend their days downing alcohol and giving each other naughty looks. Meanwhile, The Drops of God follows the son of a famous and recently deceased wine critic. He never cared about his father's career, but now he's faced with his massive inheritance, a legendary wine collection. The catch? He only gets it if he wins a wine tasting competition against an expert critic. So who wins? The alpha male who gets laid and has all the technical knowledge, or the protagonist who only has one friend and the special ability of sniffing stuff?
Please drink responsibly.
Another way to relax would be watching slice of life shows, like the one where professional exorcists struggle with spirits, while some random guy handles it with his grocery list, not to mention how he befriends the husband of goddess Amaterasu. There's also one about a girl mistaken for a genius mangaka, who ends up working at a manga cafe where the staff is kinda exhibitionist. In Kiru Fan Club, two friends drew over the same crush, even performing weird rituals for him. And in Kojima, a guy spends his days with this bizarre bird that came straight from Russia. I'm starting to think this is what happens when someone tries to make Comrade Mordecai. So maybe those last two are just plain weird, which reminds me of works like Dandelion, where angels deal with stubborn spirits or get mixed up with characters from Dandadan and Tekken, when they're not busy copying Just Dance. But the madness goes to another level with My Ribdiculous Reincarnation, the story of a guy who survives Turk-kun only to get killed by a meteor. Apparently Bruce Willis doesn't exist in this world. From there, he meets a special goddess called Goddess, and can choose how to reincarnate, whether as a knight, a Minecraft villager, or a hero treated like trash. Wait, that's basically sentenced to be a hero, but he decides to be different, choosing insane options like a rib, a heroic crab, or a dog that's allergic to cats, living through cycles of apocalyptic reincarnations and moments where he spoils his goddess. That's the craziest anime of the season, but nowadays, you can't underestimate isekai, so a show without that trait should be way more normal, like this one called Rooster Fighter. I bet it's about cockfighting like in Sleeping Dogs, or maybe it follows a super powerful rooster, fighting giant monsters and going at it non-stop? Shit, no way that's actually it. Damn, it actually is! The rooster delivers action in and out of the coop. Unfortunately, it doesn't deliver a like on this video, so if you're enjoying this chaos, leave a like and subscribe to receive a headpad from your rifle. After that, be prepared, because we still got some gems to talk about. Speaking of action, Sentence to be a hero stood out back in winter because of that, while its older sibling, Scum of the Brave, is still pretty low-key in its second part. Other action sequels that feel a bit overshadowed are Dorohedoro and Mission Yozakura Family, which suffer for different reasons. On one hand, the 6-year wait didn't hurt its brutal quality or the mysteries yet to be revealed, but the hype seems to have faded. On the other, it's more of the same, spy teams building a happy family while still being held hostage by the big rat, especially now that he's not hesitating to shoot people. To make up for it, Marriagetoxin also has its share of hostages. Here the protagonist is a master poisoner who finds himself at a crossroads. His sister is already dating, his best friend is getting married, and even the criminals he fights have their lineage all sorted out. So even without any experience, he needs to find someone. And hey, it doesn't hurt to ask a girl's hand in marriage. The worst she can do is say no.
There's not a chance in hell I would marry you.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have poisoned her before proposing. Still, he ends up forming a friendship with the blonde, who's a married swindler and will help him find his perfect match, if they're not already close and come with plenty of surprises. But going around picking fights to find love sounds exhausting. Maybe you should only do that after you've already met your soulmate. That seems to be Will's philosophy, as he keeps simping for only one girl in season 2 of Wistoria. Sure, that leaves a bunch of other lookers stuck in the friendzone, but maybe he has bigger things to worry about, like enemy mages launching an attack that threatens to destroy everything he cares about, including the beauties around him. So let's hope he's not a fan of Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, which came back more musical than ever, something that would be banned in the world of Ghost Concert, where music itself is forbidden. In that future, an AI creates all songs, so you can be one of two types of people: someone crying because anime rap no longer exists, or someone like the protagonist, who fights to bring music back while seeing ghosts. Seeing ghosts, huh? From what I can tell, the musicians disappeared, but their best friends sure didn't. Oh, I need to be careful talking about best friend, or I might upset the protagonist of Snowball Earth. Here, the world is attacked by kaiju, and a defense force is created to deal with them. You'd think you've seen this story before, whether it's someone turning into a kaiju to fight fire with fire, or Max built to face the threats. Maybe that's why you jump straight into a classic Studio Trigger ending, an epic battle in space. Oh no, wait, it's actually more like a kaiju massacre. As a result, our hero loses his best friend and is forced to return to Earth to make new ones. The only small problem is that the planet's frozen now. Just add talking animals and we've got the Ice Age for real. On a smaller scale, the cold is also a problem in Agents of the Four Seasons, which features people who can manipulate the seasons. It's like that spiritual successor to Your Name. Not that one. I mean the one where the protagonist doesn't wanna f a chair. The difference is that instead of praying for the rain to stop, the agents here actively control the weather and can even use abilities to fight criminals. So we follow two girls trying to restore balance to the seasons, while their biggest challenge isn't bureaucracy or assassination attempts. It's more like the soap opera drama surrounding their icy crushes. Other complicated relationships show up in Even a Replica Can Fall in Love and 100 Scenes of Aojima. In the first, a girl's clone just wants to experience love, but is forced by the original to handle all the boring yet necessary tasks: studying, cleaning, telling her friend to fuck off, or watching a semi-filler episode of Naruto, which is why they end up clashing. In the second, we follow students at an art school in a story that captures the beauty of performing arts and the often toxic competition between students. It's almost as bad as ranked league matches. You don't have to rage, guys, it's just a game. This guy looks like someone who'd lost several matches in a row late at night, but in reality, he's just a designer dealing with work pressure. That makes him remember the past, a time when instead of being ridden by his bosses, who did the riding was a girl with an incredible left hand. Man, she really knew how to handle those strokes, and also how to paint or make any form of art. What were you thinking? If it was anything beyond an anime about a mid-designer and a graffiti genius, you're in the wrong. Now, another worn out adult is the protagonist of Haibara's Teenage New Game Plus, who gets a chance to fix his life when he wakes up in his chubby younger body. His rehabilitation might sound hard, but it's actually super easy and barely an inconvenience. Just exercise a bit and apply what he learned in college. That way he can become the hot guy at school, humiliating his friends like he's an alien from Space Jam and almost starring in a Mark Rober video. On the other hand, Q Blue also features an adult going back to school, or rather, attending it for the first time. While some legendary assassins settle down and live peacefully with their families, this protagonist is a hitman who failed his, mostly because he doesn't know how to deal with kids, but now he's been turned to a teenager. So while searching for a cure to turn back to normal and maybe reconnect with his family, he starts developing new interests like studying, without abandoning old habits like the urge to beat up thugs or to appreciate a good bowl of noodles, something standard for his line of work. Technically, this anime is a comedy, a genre meant to make you laugh, like the many stand-up shows out there. And when we apply a Japanese array to them, we get... My god, what are these half-naked girls doing on stage? I can't show this on YouTube. Let's try again. Fire array to them, we get... Maesetsu, opening acto. Okay, this is way too moe, and it's not even from this season. Let's try again. Get... Okay, this shit's broken. Let's talk about Akane-banashi already, which explores the traditional art of Hakugo, where a performer switches into split mode to tell comedic stories. Our heroine is a young girl who deeply admires her father and can't wait to see him succeed with his art, but everything falls apart after a promotion exam. Seems like the evaluator didn't understand the beauty of it and just thought it was schizophrenia. So it's up to her to carry on her father's legacy, starting an intense training arc by doing things that have nothing to do with Hakugo, Karate Kid style. Only then she can deliver a crane kick to the jerk who ruined her father and become a top-class performer in an environment as competitive as any sport. Which reminds me of the pitches and hits in the new season of Ace of Diamond or the Grand Race of JoJo Steel Ball Run. Unfortunately, I can't even say this series is truly from Spring, since Netflix is always competing with the big rat to see who messes up their anime the most. And the rat not only has the Yozakura family anime now, but also Mao, the story of a girl who died, but is doing just fine, and now fights a folklore creatures alongside the titular character while trying to resolve unfinished business with an evil cat. It's a confusing kind of madness, I know, but interestingly, you could sum up some of these adventures with children's rhymes. The itsy bitsy spider killed without a doubt. Down came the girl and knocked the spider out. Out came the blade, while new powers to explain, and the itsy bitsy spider felt nothing but the pain. A round of applause is also fitting for the most anticipated witch anime of spring. But before that, the classroom of a black cat and a witch chose an aspiring witch who takes inspiration from that one from Woody Woodpecker, with little success apparently. So it's better for her to take inspiration from one of the greatest mages in this world, the man who saved her life in the past. While doing that, she runs into a drunkard cat who's a magic master, and it agrees to teach her under one condition: break its feline curse. And hey, for anyone familiar with The Princess and the Frog, the solution is quite simple. She just needs to kiss the animal. What they don't tell you is that the kiss has to happen somewhere the sun doesn't shine. Another place without sunlight is the prison cells where witches are locked up in Release That Witch, which brings back the classic tradition of tying up powerful women. That only changes when a modern man wakes up as the nation's prince and decides to free the witch, only to turn her into something even scarier: a government employee. And if that revolutionary went to an isekai without reincarnating, Petals of Reincarnation brings characters who reincarnate without going to another world. In fact, everything here revolves around putting a knife to your own neck and unlocking the powers of your ancestors, from Schrodinger's cat to Isaac Newton. These powerful figures are led by someone in a wheelchair like the X-Men, but their enemies are more terrifying than any rogue mutant. True sinners who don't win Oscars because they include killer clowns. Because they include generic serial killers, along with the lolly version of a certain German chancellor. So let's hope this gets the same ending as Inglourious Basterds, which shares that warlike military vibe with Nippon Sangoku. In this story, Japan collapsed and split into 3 nations, but a fearless man holds knowledge of the past and might be the legend who reunites the country. At least, that's what his wife says. But he'd rather focus on farming like he's playing Minecraft. That only changes when he meets the Japanese Daddy Pig, a military man who's as cunning as he is round, turning his world upside down and shaking the nation's political structure. So the protagonist decides to join the army alongside a vain martial artist, beginning his journey to become like the great strategist of the past. He already has the brains, now he just needs the dance skills. And while these 3 nations fight their domestic battles, the war in the Warrior Princess is different, a conflict that leads to a captured princess. But she doesn't become a hostage or a slave, she's just proposed to by a barbarian and gets the chance to witness things she never imagined before, like beautiful natural landscapes and the all-powerful Excalibur of the enemy leader. She almost dies of shock, which would be a problem since she doesn't have the ability to revive like another character this season. And of course, I'm talking about the protagonist of Killed Again Mr. Detective, an investigator who's much better at getting murdered than fighting murderers. No wonder he gets killed by a Piho in no time. And speaking of Piho, from the studio that brought you Bleach, 1000-Year Blood War, and Naruto Shippuden comes another highly anticipated production.
Oh, is it those Naruto episodes you promised 1,000 years ago?
Of course not. That'll take another 1,000 years. I'm talking about the epic, the legendary, the incredible
Mahona Shimai Lulutu Lily. Oh, you motherfucker.
It may be hard to believe, but One Piece Season 2 is among us. And I'm not talking about the live action, I mean the anime itself. The big question is, will this one also have over 1,000 episodes? Among seemingly endless works, Rent-a-Girlfriend is heading toward its 1,000th chapter, while the anime reaches one of its biggest climaxes. Or rather, the protagonist does, and it doesn't look big at all. What is big though, is the clumsy teacher from Yoyayoa Teacher, and she's only 162 meters tall, but this is already above the Japanese average. Another above average figures are the demonic women from Mistress Kanan is Devilish Easy. They're so big, I can't even pretend I'm talking about height anymore. Here, a demon girl comes to Earth to devour human souls, but gets caught off guard by a guy who interprets that in his own naughty way. Despite being thousands of years old, she's never experienced anything as scandalous as someone wanting to hold her hand. At this rate, she might get pregnant. Or maybe she'll just star in a rom-com where every girl around her is way too forward, while she's busy mimicking Kaguya out of pure anxiousness. Speaking of anxious girls, there's another one in Go For It, Nakamura-kun. This four-eyed chick always went unnoticed, until a boy finally gives her attention, and she quickly falls in love. Everything seems to be going well, until she notices one small problem. The guy is already into another guy.
You just got roasted!
Or maybe that's actually a blessing, since she loves shipping her classmates. So in reality, we follow the guy trying everything to get his crush's attention, from using classic love manuals to facing terrifying beasts like the legendary flying cockroach. That thing is terrifying to anyone in their right mind, so the protagonist of Always a Catch must be missing a screw. She never flinches in the face of danger, catching the attention of a prince with poor eyesight. Is that a good or bad sign for her? Either way, someone who definitely has nothing to fear is Demon Lord Rimuru in Season 4 of Tensura, and if fans are lucky, maybe this time it will have more action and less dialogue simulator. Though, I get why some prefer a peaceful life in their kingdom, or village, like in Yomi no Tsugai. This series follows a boy living peacefully in his village and having an unusual relationship with his sister. You know, most anime siblings are either way too friendly or not friendly at all, so it's nice to see a healthy relationship for one. Oh no wait, never mind, they're already trying to kill each other. Looks like it's another Sasuke and Itachi situation. But just like in that classic, there are secrets behind the conflict, and the protagonist would really like an explanation for why a black Pac-Man and metal dragons destroyed his home. That's how his worldview expands, and he becomes the master of a powerful Pokemon duo that will help him confront his new sister, assuming he doesn't fall victim to domestic animals first. Meanwhile, in ReZero 4, Subaru can fight without his mascot, right? But he and his allies will have to give it their all if they want to recover what the gluttonous villain took from them. It's no use Garfield just crying to mommy or that random guy aura farming like Virgil. That's because this time their mission is especially tough, crossing a ruthless desert full of traps. It's basically Mad Max. Death Road? Putting that minor inconvenience aside, it's a good thing our hero has plenty of friends to help him, and their bond seems stronger than ever this season. But even if it isn't, we can always count on our trusty Mount, and he died again. This guy really can't stay alive, can he? And while Subaru struggles to stay alive, Coco from Witch Hat Atelier is the girl who survived, a mess she calls herself. In a world of witches wearing party hats, she always loved magic despite not being able to use it, which changes when she meets a pre-Gojo Gojo and discovers that witches are basically professional artists. Aside from the fact that Oda would be the strongest wizard alive, the protagonist messes around with magic and ends up freezing her mother, so she's taken in by Gojo to properly learn magic, help fight against the Brimmed Head Eaters, and hopefully fix the mess she made. And yeah, a lot of people are already comparing this fantasy to Frieren, but I can tell you they're very different. Just look at the protagonists. In Witch Hat Atelier, Coco's mom might be cosplaying as Han Solo, but at least she has a mom.
You just got roasted!
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, hype the content and subscribe to the channel. That said, thank you so much for watching, I'm Sid from the Seibaa TV channel and I'll see you in the next video.